Okay, so good evening once again. I hope you're having a lovely week. Welcome to another job hunting and mentorship session by Saiba Shuja. So today we'll be speaking on cloud technologies, and exactly what it takes to build your career in cloud. And with us is Karen Ngugi, who is a cloud solutions architect at Kitsilano Technologies. So she is quite adept when it comes to matters concerning cloud. So she can tell us more about herself and take us through this particular topic. Thank you. Karibu sana Karen.
Thank you, Hope. Good evening, everyone. Hope, thank you for having me. As you guys have heard, my name is Karen Ngugi, and I'm a solutions architect. So I think let me start with giving a bit of background about me. My background is not in tech, actually, it's in finance. So I did BCom in campus. And then I never actually practiced what I studied in campus because when I got into uni, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just did what most of us during the time would go for, which is anything business. So I did become finance and accounting option. And then I did market research. I was a market research analyst for a while. And then now I got into tech. So my journey into tech was out of curiosity, to be honest. When in my profession as a market analyst, I came across I was doing a lot of research, a lot of it, and so there was a lot of AI and ML and all that, and I got a bit curious on that, and I did a background on that. And then I just decided I wanted to transition into something completely different. A friend of mine, I joined a program, um, and a friend of mine, I did not know anything about cloud computing, nothing at all. I actually wanted to do data analysis because I had a bit of background, or not background, but I had done something like that as a market analyst. So, but I really wanted to challenge myself. And my friend told me about cloud computing. I actually had to Google what is nothing. I knew nothing at all about cloud computing. And so, yeah, so that's how I got myself into cloud computing, did a program that lasted, I think, for around 8 months. Yeah, and then, joined another program and then finished. And then I started looking for a job. Yeah, so I think I've been in tech for, I think, less than 3 years, I think 2.5 years, which has been a great journey. I love every part of it. Yes. Now, that's enough about my introduction because I don't want to. I know 1 hour is in a camo, but it's kidogo time. And I also want to give guys opportunity to ask questions because I have learned that sometimes when someone talks too much, it might not be relevant to the audience, and especially when you're in a season of job hunting and all that, you have so many questions that you need to ask. So I think, Hope, I don't know if are you like leading the entire thing ama umenipatia tu niende mpaka mwisho.
So nimekupatia, you run with the topic. We have a Slido link that has a couple of questions that I've seen have already been sent in.
Okay.
So it's up to you to decide, do you want to do like a presentation and then do the questions, or do you want to mix them up? Yeah.
Okay, to be honest, thanks, Hope. So to be honest, I have no presentation of any sort prepared. I've been quite busy. I didn't have time to do that. Nonetheless, I will go step by step. The first thing that I'll cover is although I prefer hearing from people. What do you guys want to know? But okay, let me do 20 minutes until I think 7:30, and then the 30 minutes we are just going to do questions peke yake, so that I don't talk a lot. I've talked enough today. Anyway, so let's talk about the cloud-based practices. So this is now when you've gotten a job, or even not, like, it does not, like, what you can prepare yourself for if you're going into that cloud role. Now, sometimes I'm going to touch on I'm a cloud architect, but I've not mentioned, I've done software engineering at some point, and then decided that's not for me at all. And then I've done also cloud engineering. That was my previous role, actually, which I loved. And then now I'm a cloud architect or solutions architect, whatever you might call it. Now, so I might touch on and be a cloud engineer, because engineers build, and then solutions architect we design. So solutions architects, it's a customer facing role. I'm sure most of you know, but let me just, it's a customer facing role. So it focuses on the structure of now what you call the infrastructure, or which is now the databases, the servers, and all that. And then now, after the designing part is ready or is done, now the engineers can take it, and now they can build it. So this is DevOps engineers, cloud engineers. This is also software engineers. Yes. So um, one of the things that are really important is we call that the cloud-based practices, is reliability. Okay, let me just say, when you're starting out, in AWS, there are what they call the pillars, the well-architected framework. You have the pillars. The pillars are six. There's cost optimization, there is reliability, there is security, operational efficiency, performance, and there's also, my God, I hope I'm not forgetting. There is, okay, the most important ones are, all of them are important, but security is probably the most important, because it does not matter whether you have touched on cost, whether you have touched on reliability, or the performance is nice, or the operational is efficient. If the security is not up to par, then there is nothing that you're doing, because the infrastructure is just going to be vulnerable. Now, so when I'm designing a solution, security is one of then the client does not have to tell you, because because it's a client-facing role, most of the the biggest thing with being an architect is listening to the problem, because you have to listen to the client, and you have to deduce and know what the client wants, what the client is facing, the gaps, and then now come up with a solution. If you do not listen well enough, you do not ask the right questions, then in most cases, the solution is not going to work for the client. So there is that. And then, so security is key. Cost, not so much. It depends with the kind of client that you're dealing with. Sometimes it's SMEs, sometimes it's enterprises, and also the requirements of the customer, basically. And then, but the big one is security, and then cost, depending on the client. And then reliability is also a big one, because you need to ensure that your architecture is redundant. You need to ensure that the system is going to be up and running, or reliable, so to speak, when it's needed to be, right? When you're designing a solution, what I do, me personally, is that, as opposed to getting the most or the perfect, which there's nothing like the most, the perfect solution, but I assume everything is going to fail. So assume everything is going to fail, and then start designing from there. And one of the things that are important are backup and DR, just in case, it fails, then what is the client going to do? What's our plan B? So that's very important. But also, it also depends with a client's budget. But if with these cloud providers, there are many options. For example, backup and disaster recovery, we have backup, we have a lot of like pilot light, active, which means that you have an exact copy of an infrastructure that is active, that is up and running. So just in case one goes down, then they can fail over to the other one. But that is a bit more expensive. So there are so many options for our clients. So that's cost. That's reliability, and it's also tied to cost in a way. Now, the selling point for most of the cloud providers is you pay for what you use, which technically is true because now from on-prem, because on-prem, when a client wants a web server, they need to go and buy a web server, and then once the it's not working for them, say the CPU is high or the memory is not good enough, then they have to purchase another server. Now, this takes a lot of time. It also takes a lot of, it's also expensive, and the business has to run. It does not matter like whether things are not working or they're not working, the client is going to lose money at the end of the day. So that is a very big selling point for cloud providers, that you pay for what you use. So with that, you can do right sizing, which basically means just the kind of workload the client has. You just design a solution for that. And then we have something that we call scalability. This means that when a business scales up, or say there are multiple users, or the business is growing and there are many branches, for example, that they are adding, then they can be able to do that with no downtime. And then because the business is still running, something we call business continuity, the business is still, continuing. And then also with the cost optimization at the same time in the cloud, there is visibility, where your money is going as a client. So that's one of the things that clients really love about cloud. And, there are good selling points and some things that you consider when you're designing a solution, right? So just to go back to security, when you're designing a secure environment that is also scalable, scalability is extremely important because you can design there's no perfect solution. You can design a solution and then 1 year down the line, it's not working for the client. Why? Because they have scaled their businesses. It could be anything. They have more users, they want to branch out, maybe they have more branches or something like that. So the solution is not working for them. So our client wants to know, okay, this is the solution, yes, but is it going to work for us when we are growing? Because businesses are growing, right? And then also the whole point of coming into cloud is an investment for a business, so it really has to make sense. It really needs to be valuable, to bring that value. And that was one of the things that as solutions architect, it does not matter who the client is, but if I am a client and you're selling, maybe I'm just telling you about my issues and whatnot, what I want to hear from you is, how is this going to bring value for me? As a CFO or whatever, it has to make sense, right? So yeah, so it's really important. So scalability is very, very important. And then what else have we not talked about? So so those are the key ones. There's others. Sustainability is another one. Some businesses really are into, you really also want to ensure that the solution that you're designing is sustainable. Nowadays that sustainability is like a big thing. And then what else? So if we go back to security, and you just realize I'm just talking about security most of the time. So when you're designing the solution, now this is you designing the solution, or you implementing, but implementation just comes from the design. So the engineers check the design, how it has. So that's why it's a big deal for solutions architect, because what you're going to give the engineers is what they're going to build. They're not going to build outside what you have given them, basically. So encryption is a very big thing. Today, it's very important, especially if you're dealing with hospitals, like companies that are dealing with healthcare or just any pharmaceuticals, whatever, like where data is really important and the security of the data is important. Banks, financial institutions like that. It's also important for you to ensure that the security is really really good. So we have encryption, we have encryption at rest, and also encryption when the data is moving. That's what we call at transit. Yes. So that's also important. And then also, like, I think you guys have had something called identity and access management, where it's like the environment, maybe it's AWS, and then you need also to provide the least privilege to your engineers or everyone who is like dealing with especially those who are building. That is also very important. Yes. So we've talked about scalability, security. We have talked about cost, reliability. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop there for about that, like cloud-based practices, and then talk about what it takes. So when I was starting out, so the program that I attended, I got my CP. I did AWS first. I got my cloud practitioner, and then later got my solutions architect associate. And then with the two, I got a job with only the two, because I remember at that point, at the first entry job that I got, they really wanted the solutions architect. That was like a requirement for you to have it. So I just got in with the two, and I wouldn't say that I had a lot of practice, honestly. Like, okay, I had done a lot of labs, but when you when you work with in the real world, like real world applications, like you're doing all these things for a client, like when things are real, it's completely different. It's absolutely beautiful. It's really nice because like and I remember I started as a cloud engineer, so I was building at this point. You just get your hands dirty, which is amazing. And of course, you'll make mistakes. I promise you'll make mistakes, especially when you're dealing with the production environment, which you're going to deal with the production environment. You're going to make mistakes, but give yourself some grace. So yeah, I just had two certifications, but I did a lot of I had done practices before. I had done a lot of projects before. Yeah, but I will say that it's really important to have the skills. Certifications are very vital as well, but having the skills is what, because you can have certifications and you don't have the skills, and now you get into a job and then you don't have the skills. And I'm not talking about perfectionism. No, you don't have to be perfect. It's actually, in most cases, you learn on the job, and that's fine, because when you get into an interview, show you just need to show that you can grow. You don't know everything, especially if it's an entry role. You need to be show that you first of all, the value that you're bringing to the company. You need to show that you are knowledgeable, but also you need to show that you're willing to learn, you're curious. Like that's just how it is, to be honest. But yeah, skills extremely important. If you don't have a job yet, just do a lot of projects. And then now when you can, because some of these certificates are really expensive. So yeah, and then when you can get the certifications, um, the cloud providers are not that much different. If you've done like one cloud provider, like Google or whichever you started, I started with AWS. When you transition to a different one, it's not that different. The services, they do the same thing basically. It's just that you see, the cloud is the same. The cloud is the same. Databases operate the same. Storage is the same. There's just a little bit of nuances here and there, but generally it's the same thing. So like moving from one cloud provider to the other is not that hard. But now, one of the most important skills that you can have, guys, is, I hope 7:30, okay, 5 more minutes. One of the most important skills that you can have, no matter which role, is soft skills. you need, like, even if you're going for an interview, for example, communication has to be good. Like, you have to show, because listen, in most cases, like especially as techies, give us a laptop, dim the lights, we are good. Like, we'll work. But now you see, with when you're looking for a job, you just have to prove, and this proving that there's something that you bring to the table, especially if you don't have, like, it's your entry role, you need to, and it's something that's hata mimi siipendi, and I really struggled with it at first. You need to convince these people, because at first I was like, why am I convincing you? I know I can do it. Like, why do I have, imagine you have to convince these people, and so you have, so soft skills, non-negotiable. Communication, top. You need to have great communication skills. Remember, especially in tech, there's a lot of collaboration, so as engineers, you're collaborating. There's a lot of it, a lot of meetings, which most techies don't like, but they have to be done. So communication is very important. And even as a solutions architect, for example, um, now, with the solutions architect, you need to know that, because with a solutions architect, basically you're bridging between the business side of it and the technical side of it, right? So if you're leaning towards one side, it's not going to work. So you need also to translate these technical jargons and whatever, and the infrastructure and all that into, like, business. Because when you're going to see a CFO, for example, CFO is financials. Like, it has to make sense. It has to, because that's so the other thing is, you need to know um who you're going to talk to, who you're going to meet. If you go and meet a CTO, it's very easy, because the CTO is like, he's technical or she's technical, so that works out. But stakeholder translation is very important as a solutions architect, because imagine, for example, an architect's job can be explaining how a $10,000 a month bill makes sense to a CEO, enough for them to pay for it, because this is an investment they're making, right? And then, so yeah, so collaboration, communication, analytical skills, problem solving, but most techies are problem solvers, so that's good. And then, so in the tech industry generally, you really have to be curious. Now see choke, because today a software is makes sense, tomorrow it does not make sense, kuna ingine, and then you have now to keep up. You have to read, you have to do all these things, you have to stay up to date. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense, because what I've seen is some companies look for, and especially kwa JDs, unaonanga, they specify that you need to be certain technologies you have to know. So it's like GCP, they say GCP. So if you don't know GCP and you know another cloud provider really well, someone else might be taken for the job, because of that, right? So, and it's not only that, but, like, you don't have to, and also there's a lot of information overload, so you don't have to take everything. Just pick one path and just be really, really good at it and stick there. Because also the other thing I've noticed in tech, you can really, there's my God, there's so much, and if you're here and there, then it's going to be a problem. You really have to be curious, was my point, because the cloud moves unbelievably fast. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know how to find stuff. Resourcefulness, you really have to be resourceful. Yeah, so that's what I would say. So now I give the floor to all of you to ask questions that are relevant to you, that are going to help you, because I know we are in different stages, or our paths are different, and our journeys are different, but I would want to talk about something that specifically touches you, or what you want. So Elvis, I saw your hand first. Maybe we can go with Elvis, and then Charles, you can ask your question next.
Hi, hi, hi. How are you? It's Elvis Reddington. So I'm here because I asked you to join.
Yes, I can see you've joined.
Yeah. So, you've started a really high note, and maybe I just wanted to tell this. I wanted to talk to the congregation about what I do and where I sit with you. So, hi everyone. My name is Elvis Odede. I am a cloud solutions architect with the Reddington Group. So, I sit between cloud, the cloud providers, the vendors, and Kitsilano, uh, going downwards. So I've done cloud solutions providers like Microsoft, AWS, Oracle, and Google. I'm basically I work with Reddington, so I sit between what's your name? I'm forgetting your name. I don't know why.
Whose name?
It's Karen. I sit between Karen and Microsoft and Oracle. But at the moment, I do Oracle. So I just wanted to talk to the team, majorly about how I can help them. I normally see a lot of these posters whereby they need people to come and talk to them, and probably the institution hasn't offered them a chance. So I wanted to talk to, I think it's Hope Nduta and maybe their team. I have a cloud solutions tenancy whereby I can rent out to them. They try to train their team on cloud. I can take some sessions to try to teach them cloud, because as you and I have done this before, the cloud is a really big thing just for a 1 hour session, because you have also started on a really high note. I haven't had on a pay as you go, the cloud providers, Amazon, Oracle, Google, Microsoft. I haven't had pay as you go. I mean, SaaS, IaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. I haven't had public cloud, private, hybrid, multi-cloud. I haven't had on-premise. I haven't had, there's a lot, containerization, virtualization, serverless, object storage, block storage, file storage, virtual cloud networks. There's a lot to talk about. So I don't know,
Hi,
Hope. I don't
Elvis.
know if this is yeah. So I don't know if this is a good session, but I just wanted to tell you, I have been seeing a lot of your posts, and maybe one session in the future whereby I can try to rent out some cloud for your students on a technical level. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvis. I think I can get your contact from Karen later on. However, I'd like to open this session to the students to ask their questions on the topic. Thank you, Karen. I think you've done a really good job on what you've talked about, and some of the questions have been answered. So, yeah, so we can have Charles go with his question, and then later on, I can read some of the questions sent on the chat, and anyone else who has a question.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Okay, my name is Charles. I'm a cloud enthusiast. So my question was, I just completed a certification for security, and I'm planning to get into cloud security, but I have like an employment gap because I used to be an IT support for a while until probably after COVID. Now, I've been doing some freelance work since then, but now I'm planning to get into cloud security after doing my certification in cybersecurity. So, what's the best way to get my foot on the door based on the employment gap that I have?
All right. So I actually have like okay, that's pretty interesting because one of my colleagues did a program in cyber shuja. I think it was cyber security operations analyst in 2024. We work with him. He's really good. So that's a coincidence. But I would say it's get your foundations first. And by foundations, it's first of all, let me say it's beautiful that you know the direction or the path that you want to take, because that is not easy to come by. Some of us get lost kwanza so that now we catch up and now we know this is what we want to do. First of all, I'd say get your foundations first. By foundations, I mean the cloud is a cloud, so you really need to know the security bit. So how can you secure infrastructure, for example, encryption, how does it work? At encryption at rest, encryption in transit with databases, how do you do that? How do you ensure security with servers? How do you do that? Get that foundation very well, because let me tell you one thing with the cloud, you can never go wrong with foundation. A technology can change, say every 3 months, but the foundational skills, they last you for a long time. And it's also easy for you to pick up programs or read on or certification or whatever you want to do if you have the foundation intact. So I will say work on your foundations, and then you can opt to do a cybersecurity course. Nonetheless, I know that comes with a lot of extra cost. If most of us, especially when you're starting out, it's really hard because we are looking for money to get a job. So now how can I get money so that I can, it's just it does not make any sense. But if you're not in a position to do that, without the foundations, start working on projects. And when you work on these projects, Charles, try to document them, whether it's a video, whether it's what is it called? An article, and take screenshots. With AWS, for example, there's a free tier. I don't know if like you have opened an account with AWS. You have a free tier for 1 year. Make use of that and do a lot of what are they called, projects that deal with security. And then document them, put them in LinkedIn. That is going to help you become visible, so that when you're going to get a role or you're going to apply, those are some of the things that are going to set you apart from the rest. And then now when you maybe secure a job, you can now finance you can now scale, I mean not scale, you can now start look for a cybersecurity course and do that course. At the moment, there are many, and that's the thing. You need to be resourceful in when you're in tech. There are many courses, even in security. LinkedIn has courses. There's so many courses that you can get on security, but foundations first, and then you can take it from there. Also, I heard you say that you had done something different from whatever you're doing now. There's something that is called transferable skills. Even if you're not coming from a tech background, transferable skills are very important. For example, I did market research, and so I'm good with data, number one. I did finance in campus and accounting. I'm good with numbers. So when it comes to cost utilization or cost efficiency in the cloud, that helps me because I have that background, right? Again, market research, I dealt with a lot of data. So again, in the cloud, that comes in handy. And you have to show, and when you're looking for a job, for example, you have to show how your unique background, even if it's not tech or related to whatever you're looking for, the role you're looking for, how it helps you bring value to that company, to that role, to that company. That's going to set you apart. But to answer your question, foundations first, look for free courses, projects, do a lot of projects, document them. There is a channel in YouTube. It's called Next Work. They have so many projects that they roll out. Do those projects with them, follow along with them until you're really good at. Now you can do them yourself, document them, and then make yourself visible. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And Karen, you can also share with us those resources. Yeah, so that I can share with them later on. There is someone who's asking on the chat here. What are some of the questions that they can expect in an entry-level cloud engineer or support role? I'm thinking this is in the case of an interview.
Wow. Okay. In my entry role, to be honest, you never get a lot of technical questions. I would say not a lot of technical questions, because again, this is an entry level position, so they don't even expect you to have had that much experience. What they look for most of the time is your attitude, number one. Of course, they're going to ask you about your background and what you have done. And it's also extremely important here for you to bring in some, listen, ukiwa kwa interview, ringa, if it's called kuringa, you show them whatever, just you talk, show them how you're going to bring value. So if you have projects, this is where you bring in projects. This is where you show. If you're looking for a cloud engineer role, and you start thinking about these things now, right? Because all these jobs, they're in the cloud, yes, but they are not. They are very, they're different. You know, when you're a DevOps engineer, it's different. And you've said that support, and you have also said a cloud engineer. So if you are looking for both, then you need to show, need to have at least kidogo skills for both. You have projects. Okay, for support, it's a bit tricky to have projects, but if it's for cloud engineer, have projects and then show already you see an entry level. Even when I'm taking when I'm looking for someone for an entry level role, I don't want someone. If I have someone that I don't have to teach from scratch, even better for me, right? As opposed to someone who now I'll start coaching or mentoring or whatever from scratch, right? So you need to show them, even though that it's entry level, you have a bit of experience. So project comes really well, but they'll mostly ask you about, they'll just gauge your attitude, I'd say. Yeah. And they'll know what you're capable of doing, what like also the kind of path, maybe the kind of path that you want to take. Yeah, things like that.
Thank you. Then someone else is asking, if you could start your cloud journey again, what would you do differently to help someone venturing into cloud now?
Interesting. If I'll start, I think I'd do more projects. I didn't do nearly as many projects when I was starting, so a lot of learning was like on the job. There's going to be learning on the job. Even as I don't think you're like perfect 100%. There's going to be learning on the job, but I think I'd do more. Yeah, I think I'd do more projects, to be honest. Yeah, and then what else? What else will I do different? Yeah, I'd say more projects, guys.
Okay. Yes, Collins, your hand is up.
Collins?
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Karen and Hope, for this session. I have a few questions in regards to number one, introduction of cloud solutions into an organization and reluctance to adopt cloud solutions. You've mentioned ways in which organizations can adopt various cloud solutions for their different needs in regards to the adoptions and what they hope to achieve. I'd like to understand your perspective on the reluctance of some firms to adopt cloud solutions, especially considering the extensive discussion and knowledge available on the subject. What do you believe are the main barriers to adoptions, and how can organizations overcome them? And then number two, this is more on a personal level. Could you provide insights on how to effectively introduce cloud solutions to organizations? Specifically, what strategies would you recommend for pitching these solutions to top management, focusing on the benefits rather than the cost involved? And I'm coming from a point of the organization needs you to undertake various initiatives to secure their data and just make sure in case of any downtimes or outages, we're on the less side to, or we are less prone to a lot of interventions that would alter the day-to-day activities of the business and affect business continuity. But now when you put all that in a structured manner and present it to the team, and you're going to pitch it to the board, all they see is how much it's going to cost over the implementation and the benefits accrued from having such a system? Please, kindly chip in.
Okay, so let me just take the first question. In case I miss something, just let me know. So when it comes to businesses or organizations implementing cloud solutions, there's so many factors that that hinder, I would say. But so one thing I've noticed is it depends with the company. So I've realized that SMEs and startups, they have unique problems. And unique problems in the sense that for small businesses, for example, even startups, they're just starting out, right? And so investing in something like that can be a bit tricky because they don't have money. They don't have money. And most of them want something cheap, but also it could be that they do not know, especially with startups, for example, because they have not been in the game for long. They don't know what cloud is, how it works, and whatnot. At the same time, these are guys who are establishing their systems, so they do not have processes in place, right? So that's why it's a bit tricky for them to integrate cloud in systems that already are not stable. That's for startups mainly and small businesses. For small businesses and medium-sized companies, it could be a cost issue. So it really needs to make sense to them cost-wise. Some of them just don't want to, and that's the truth. They just don't want to. They have not even had you out, but they just don't want to. But that's what I've realized. Now, large companies, corporations, enterprises, this one, they do have resources. They have been in the game for a long time, but you find that the decision making, because many of these companies are hierarchical. So the decision makers are huko juu. So the solution can make sense to maybe an IT manager, but kitambo, the decision makers get to get the pitch or have a meeting or a sit down and get to know what the solution is and how it can benefit the company. It takes a long time and it gets lost in the way. That's the first problem. The second problem is ushai patana na mtu mzee, someone very old, and this is not for all old people, and you're just trying to explain to them something modern, ya siku hizi, ya juzi juzi, and they're like, they don't understand it, and it's almost as if they do not even want to understand it. They are so used to something that has been working for them that they don't feel like that they need to change it. I think they exist or they operate in the mantra that if something is not broken, then it does not need fixing. So now it's up to you to just tell them, and especially if it has never broken, something has never been an issue, it's very tricky to now let them know, because for them it's like, if imekuwa ikifanya kazi 20-15 years, mimi nilikuja kazi because now it's someone, you're maybe talking to maybe city or whatever, and they've been in the company for 3, 5, 10 years, long, short, and the business or company existed long before, like Kitambo, and they came and the systems, these are the systems they found and they have been working well. And so you're trying to explain to them, no, but you see, something might happen. It might fail. So you convincing them that is very tricky. So those two are the unique blockers or limitations. So the first one, I'd say the decision making, because large enterprises, the decision making is very, what is it called? I think centralized. So getting to the decision makers and then having them invest, it takes a lot of time. It's nakanga almost impossible. And then the second one will be the systems have been working, so why do we need to change them? In fact, you're telling me I need to spend this amount of money, and mind you, it might not be a lot of money because the cloud is very if you design it well, it's very it makes sense cost-wise for businesses and it brings value anyways, but it might not make sense to them. So those two things. I think that answers your first question. Now, second question, please ask again because I've forgotten that one.
Yeah, the second question is I think what you've answered in the first question on how to effectively introduce cloud solutions to organization
Oh, yeah,
and the
yeah.
pitching to the top management.
Mhm.
The first question was the reluctance of some firms to adopt cloud solutions, which you also touched on as well. But I would
Yep.
also like to dig in a little deeper and maybe get your view based off the experience that you've been able to accumulate over the years on how to approach this issue from now an IT perspective.
Okay.
Let me just shed some light on the background of the organization. I'm not going to reveal any names, but let's say it's an organization that uses cloud services. You have B2B services with clients, and most of their services are hosted via the cloud. So the systems need to be up and running. And even getting a simple PC or a workstation to have an in-house server, because all services are hosted locally, just to have a backup and create mirror sites in case of downtimes or fluctuations or any errors, because the internet, disappoints at times. It's an issue, yet they're the ones who push for those solutions. But when it comes to the implementation, and that's where now there's a little bit of a push, and they're looking at the cost implication in regards to what it would cost them over the benefits and the peace of mind that would come with having number one, running systems, and two, backups for the same. So
Yeah.
from an IT point of view, how do you approach that in regards to one, not letting it affect your performance in the role? And number two, um, of course, you have KPIs and targets that you're supposed to meet, and come appraisal time, how do you not let that be used against you, or you didn't meet your targets, yet you know they're fully aware of what's happening?
Okay. So one thing I learned the hard way on the job is when you're pitching any solution to a client, try as much as possible to ignore the financials. Cost, let that be the last thing that you talk about, because the minute you bring up cost, no, they're not going to listen to you. Everything that you're going to say, to be honest, they're going to be there, but hearing what you're saying, but not listening to what you're saying. So I think what I'll tell you is like, the company, so do a lot of background. That's the first thing I do. And again, transferable skills. Since I've done market research analysis, I do a lot of research on the company. That's the best. It's like when you're going for an interview, you need to wow these guys, right? You need to tell them things that are going to impress them. So you cannot go with the same script that you went with for in a different interview for a different company, right? Just know the company very well. Do a lot of background. Just know how the systems are, what they need for such businesses, how many branches they have. Like are they international? Blah, 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 do all of that, and then this is the same across the board. Just show them how the solution that you're selling them brings value to them, right? If it's data, if it's a backup, just tell them a situation where that because what these guys want to hear is how the business, no matter what happens, is up and running. I'll give you an example. We have an election coming up. And with an election, very unforeseeable or foreseeable, because we foresee maybe that can happen during that time. You never know what happens, given the history of like our country during election years. So that's a real issue in itself, right? You need your business to be up and running. And remember, we had COVID, and so many companies had not proved I'll say proofed their systems, because nothing like that had ever happened before. But now we learn from our experiences. These are elections, we have 207 or whatever happened. So you might not know, and the business needs to be up and running. Business continuity is the language that organizations speak, because they need to make money regardless of what is happening to our economy, to our country, to whatever. Right? So pitch something like that. And in this situation where now we have an NINI next year, an election next year, whatever, now bringing out the value of whatever solution that you're bringing is going to bring to them. When it comes to cost, it's very important to just let them know that you're right sizing. And right sizing means whatever they have on-prem is whatever you're going to propose, or you're going to design for them in the cloud, right? Not only is it right sizing, but also it's cheaper, because having an entire server and buying another one and doing all these things, it's time consuming again, as I mentioned, and it's also expensive. Now here, when you're in the cloud, it's pay as you go, right? When you need this, and then tell them it's scalable. It scales with your business. So if you have a lot of users, or even like users that are kwa kidogo, because you need to scale, yes, but also business kwa kidogo pia you'll pay less because it's pay as you go, whatever you're using. So use real life experiences that affect businesses that will be realistic to these guys. Try as much as possible, if it's not an technical person, to make sense business wise. Like, yes, business wise. And then I'll pitch your solution. Cost itakuja tu huko baadaye. Now you're going to have caught their attention, and then now you can talk about everything else.
Okay, so thank you so much. Now it's up to me. I figure out how to avoid the cost issue when they ask for a budget, because they'll be like, okay, give us a budget, and that's where
And
all
you
the
and you're not
help
avoiding it because the cost is high. You're avoiding it because it's something that when you ukiguzilia tu cost even before you say something, they're already sort of like reluctant about it. So you're not avoiding it just because it's expensive. No, you're avoiding it because you need, first of all, them to listen to what you're offering before now you talk about the finances or the costs and what that will look like for them. I wish you all the best, Collins. You have everything that it takes. All the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. Let me now allow my colleagues to chip in with their questions on Kosant. Asante sana.
Sawa. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, Collins. There's a question on Q&A from Benzil. So Benzil is saying he's a student from JKUAT. He attended a session yesterday themed from academic excellence to market relevance, where the moderator said that Africa is at an advantage as far as technology is concerned. She said that our youthful population and the century we are in now are some of the reasons why. So could you map this point to Kenya so that it makes sense from Kenya's point of view?
Right. Wow. Okay, that's like a loaded question. I don't know, but yeah, it makes sense. I think first of all, the youth population in Africa is the largest in the world. And so many companies, by the way, look to hire in Africa because of that. Now, another advantage that we have as a country is, I think, behind Nigeria and South Africa, I'd say, because Nigeria has the highest youth population in Africa. I don't know if you're the second, third, or something, but tuko just behind Apo Kidogo. But I think our education system is really good because many companies also hire. So not only do we have a growing youth population, but also like many companies, international companies like to hire in Kenya. I think our education system is good, and also I think we tunajitumanga, to be honest. So I'd say that as well. We are very resourceful. Nigeria is also upper top. They are resourceful. Because even the programs that I have attended, mali tu utapata tu Nigerians are so many. Na wanajituma. These guys do a lot. Like kabisa, it's very good to see. So yeah, I'd say that is true. Yeah, so just what will I say? Just work on your craft. It's very important for you to stand out. It's very important for you because everybody is working, everybody is locking in. So you need to be someone who is giving value, or you set yourself apart from the rest. Listen, umesikia tuko wengi, but that also is like it works for you, but also like what are you bringing to the table that is different from other people? No pressure to you, but just find what you want to do and really be good at it, and that is your value proposition for companies.
Thank you. So there is one last question. Before I read that out, we have a short survey just on the session. So you can get the link under the Q&A section on your Teams. So kindly fill in the survey before we end the session. Thank you. So lastly, We have someone who's asking, how can they set themselves apart if they have no clouds degree, only cloud practitioner and some projects? Yeah.
Right. So at some point I said that in as much as certifications are good, skills are what are better. Yes, I'd say skills are better. So I wouldn't say, whoever asked that question, I wouldn't say that uko nyuma ama wewe you don't have what it takes. You have projects. I think that is the most important thing. I think when you have a CP, okay, I'm assuming it's AWS, you have a CP, you know, like the cloud, you know what inspector does, you know what guard duty does, right? So even if like you want to do projects, you have that knowledge. And so just use that knowledge to do those projects and then just document them. There's a guy, anaitwa sijui nani, ako LinkedIn. That guy, kila siku nikiingia LinkedIn, ako na project. I'm like, this guy, like he pushes like a lot of projects. Anafanya tu projects, you know. So you see, in itself, he's visible. Mimi namuona. So ebu imagine how many recruiters pia wanamuona. So he would be a good fit for an entry whatever role, whatever he's doing. I think he's a cloud engineer. I've forgotten his name, but ananifurahishanga sana. Every time naingia LinkedIn ndio hiyo post yake hapo. So you have what it takes. Endelea kufanya projects. Now, this is what you do. Don't do a lot of projects zenye ni rahisi. So if maybe you want to, because I think hata mimi nilifanya my first project was configuring a static website kwa S3. That was like the first, and I think so many people tunaanzanga hapo. Sasa now that gives you, experience kidogo, you know what you're doing now. Now get a bigger project kidogo yenye iko na other services or delves deeper into a service kama ni S3 ama ni CloudFront or whatever. Get to know what you're doing, and failing is even better. In tech, that's how you get better at what you're doing. Because remember, especially if you're a cloud engineer, things will fail, things will not work. The client will need support from you. What has happened? This has happened. Unaingia CloudWatch, you look at what is happening, and then that is how you grow. That is how you know this cloud ecosystem kama ni AWS, right? Get your hands dirty. Certifications itakuja too. I think me, like, I even didn't I only did two. So just because I'm saying that I had that second one, haimaanishi now because you don't have that second one, you cannot get a role. You can get a role. I remember nilikuwa Ajira. There's a program I did Ajira. And there's a person who got a job akiwa na cloud practitioner peke yake na akapata job. So now you don't have the certification. This is how you start thinking about it. So mimi sina certificate. Be very real with yourself. I don't have the certifications. That's fine. But what else do I have? I have projects. Do as many projects as you can. And guess what? Ukienda pale kwa interviewer, wewe unaongea kuhusu project umefanya, you are more experienced and you can talk about these projects and how these projects they can solve a problem than someone who has only done the certifications without projects. Yeah. But when you get a chance now to do the certifications, just do them. But just kaka tu hapo kwa project and then start looking for actively applying with hizo projects to imagine utapata, and be very confident and bold when you're doing those interviews because you know what it takes and you have some experience also. Yeah.
Thank you. So there's a hand up by Denzel. Yes, Denzel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My question is, where can I find the recordings of previous classes? Is it in the same place as the cybersecurity course, or it's in a different account?
Come again.
Where can I find recordings of previous classes, or I'm wondering, are they in the same account as the cybersecurity classes, or they're in a different YouTube account?
So for the mentorship sessions, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just on Cyber Shuja. Anyone can just search on YouTube, Cyber Shuja. And the first thing that comes is a collection of mentorship sessions. So you should
Okay.
be able to find the recording there.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. So I believe that brings us to the end of our Q&A. Okay, there's one last one from Opio. Thank you so much for your time, Karen. I know to whatever, but Opio is asking, please could you share a salary range for an entry-level job she has ever had from her end? I want to see something. Yeah.
Man, this is another conversation altogether, but just it's a thing that don't expect a lot, honestly. Don't I will say just don't expect a lot. But listen, this is the thing that let me just close with this because it's very important and this question has reminded me. Whatever opportunity you get, hata kama haulipwi pesa poa, because in most cases, and especially entry job, hautalipwa poa. Whatever position you get, make use of it. Hauwezi kosa something that you ndio ikifika ile point utasema mimi nilianza huko, I was not being paid well, but nilitoka na hii na hii na hii. Because guess what? Businesses and organizations will always look out for themselves. You better look out for yourself. So kama ni skills, wewe fanya skills. Kama ni si skills, what is this? Kama ni because also it depends with where you are. And again, be real with yourself. Well, una job whatever experience. So what are you going to do? You just take the role if it matters to you. There's so many things people look out for, especially company culture and whatever. But take the job if you will or if you can. Enda hapo, sumbua watu, and kusumbua I mean take on projects, do all that, get your hands dirty, because guess what? Ukitoka hapo, you're going to the next role, you will have so much to offer because you have dealt with real world problems and you have given solutions and you have built systems and processes that work. And those skills isn't your recruiters look for, business or organizations look for. But expect pesa mingi, hata utafika, hata usifanye, don't even remind me. But don't expect a lot of money.
For the purpose of the students, let me just push on that one a little. Maybe a range for entry-level cloud roles, yeah.
Kampuni za Kenya zinalipa vibaya. So I'd say maybe nani anachoma? Maybe say guy. Okay, this is if you don't have any experience kabisa. If you don't have any experience na maybe uko na ka certification kamoja, hata 20k utapewa. Maybe 20 to 30. Maybe a good company. Hizo ni Kenyan companies, maybe. Not maybe, these are a lot of maybes. 20 maybe to 40k hapo. Depending on how big or small the company is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll give it back to you for a minute. What would your last advice be for people who are really interested in this particular role? Yeah, what are your parting shots for the night?
My parting shot is know yourself, know what you want, know the path that you're willing to take. That is the first thing you should do. If you want to do data analytics, if you want to do whatever, unaweza change uko mbele, that's fine. Tunnel vision, guys. Lock in tunnel vision. Like it's do or die. In the office, my colleagues, we usually tell each other, there's something that we say, hakuna mkate ngumu mbele ya chai. As I stand here, as I live and breathe, I believe that there's nothing I cannot do. It's just that sijui wewe uko huko, you're doing something, you're coding, you're doing something. It's just because I don't know. But the minute niko hapo ndani, trust me, I will know. Guys, be bold. Believe in yourself. Lock in tunnel vision. There's nothing that you can't do. And then go forth and conquer. I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. That was a very good session. Thank you so much for the insights and even bringing the conversation in a way that I believe all of us took something from. So hopefully we'll see you again for one of our other technical sessions sometime later. So yeah, asanteni sana. Thank you so much everyone for the questions. I believe you guys can reach Karen via LinkedIn if you'd like to. Ama Karen atuambie, if someone wants to reach out, how can they reach out?
Okay, let me just paste my LinkedIn profile link. Let me. Okay, it seems the chat is not working, is it? It's not.
Use
Nikki,
use the Q&A.
okay, let me just, yeah,
Use
let
the
me.
Q&A. Yeah, there was actually a request for your LinkedIn and also for Eric's LinkedIn. Yeah. So if you still
Umeiona? Nimei paste, it's there.
okay.
Richard, umefanya data science, how well can I fit into data engineer job? Hazijaachana sana, you can fit into a data engineer job actually. You can. In fact, you the fact that you are in data, you are doing data science, inamaanisha it's like you have a head start. You can do it. Just now figure out how you can go about doing that in the cloud and look for a path. Yeah. Guys, that's it for me. Akiwacheni niende. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me. Yes, I wish you guys all the best. Hope asante sana. Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you so much for being on the session. And thank you so much, everyone. In case of anything, Cyber Shuja students, you can reach out to me. Bye. And kindly fill in the survey. Good night.